guys, and welcome to my first speed build. So, what I'm doing today is showing you a very quick, just an external speed build of something that was just supposed to be fun and funny, a little lighthearted, and yes, also kind of ugly because um, I don't know, just thought it was fun, and this is also just for practice. So if you have tips, suggestions, ideas for how to, or things that you want to see me attempt to build, leave a comment and let me know, and I will give it a try. So, what we're watching right now is a meme that I'm going to put on the screen as well so you can see it. It's just kind of a goofy, funny, like, I want a watchtower on my little suburban split level home. And I shared it in a Facebook group called Builderspiration and was asking if anybody wanted to build it. And a few people laughed, a few people commented. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I'm bored. My son is currently at a hockey game and nobody is really in the house and the toddler is sleeping. I'm going to do it. So I just decided to do it. And I mean, it's not perfect because building a split level home using terrain manipulation and stuff was tricky. So, what I decided to do here, you can kind of see me smoothing out the terrain at the moment, trying to figure out how to get the side steps that were in the inspo pick correct. And there really isn't an easy way to do that. And I know another YouTuber who did a tutorial on like how to build actual split level suburban that looks okay, but then there are some parts of it that like it's tricky, it's complicated, and so I chose to just lower it down. I started trying to start with a basement and bring it up, but when you do that, the ground comes up with you, and I was like, oh, that's not going to work. But if you start on the main level and then push that first floor down and then do some terrain manipulation, it works in a very similar way. So now I'm working on the tower here. And at first, it wasn't a perfect circle, which proved to be a problem when I went to paint it. It wouldn't do certain sides and things. So I had to reduce it down to a smaller circle, more narrow circle, which was fine. And build some turrets and things. Yeah, you see it. I'm trying to like put it down to half walls at the top, which did not work. And I was like, okay. And then it also got funky with like, yeah, painting it and stuff. So I had to make it a full circle with just those little wedges, rounded edges there to make it a tower. And then I was like, oh, how do I get half walls? Because apparently you can't. You couldn't make it half walls. And then I tried a platform, and then the platform thing didn't work. And then finally I was like, where is, I know there's a rounded like decking fence. Where's the rounded decking fence? Oh, there it is. I just had to scroll down and there it was right there. So kind of felt a little dumb when I was making that. Just the things that you waste your time on just looking for are kind of ridiculous. So then I replaced the fence with the castle kit, castle creations. No, that's crystal creations. Anyway, the castle kit, and then I chose like a more reddish stone rather than the default swatch, which was more tan. And then when I tried to put the door on it, because of the shape of the wedges and how they were seated, I couldn't really rotate it to make sure that the door was straight on like it is in the meme. So I had to kind of have it off center a little bit, kind of facing to the side, just so that the door would actually go and slot. And then when I added windows, yeah, see, the door wouldn't come. See it, yeah. Just Billy Sims build things. So then I put windows on it, and in order to filter the windows, I filtered them for rounded walls. And then when I was looking for windows for the rest of the house, I ended up getting very frustrated for a little bit, going like, "Where are my windows? I know there's windows." Like, and then I was like, "Oh, I still have windows set to stuff that can go into rounded walls. Whoops. So yeah, I'm still learning Sims 4 builds. I'm still learning YouTube. I'm still learning Twitch. I feel like such a noob, such a like I don't not imposter, just like I'm just learning this stuff. I'm so late to the game. I'm so uncool, but like I am who I am. It just is. It's just for fun, and I'm not really taking any of this seriously, especially this goofy suburban house with a castle tower on it. So I did the split level. This was also really tricky. I because when you do the terrain manipulation, you kind of have this brown edges that go down. You can't do right up to the house. You kind of have to hide it, so to speak, with like landscaping. The meme didn't really have landscaping. It was all just kind of flat. So I ended up using a bunch of rocks and like sizing them up, sizing them down, and using BB objects to kind of fill in that hole there just so that it wouldn't look too funky. And so it's not perfect. It doesn't look exactly like the house in the meme because that would be really ridiculously hard to do. And then when I saved it, because I built this on a lot in Brindleton Bay that was the right shape because I wanted something that was more like wide than it was deep or long. And so the dimensions on a lot of other plots in other worlds are more portrait, like portrait versus landscape. And so this lot, and then there was another lot in Newcrest that already had something else I was working on in it, so I couldn't use that. And I also felt like this particular build would work in Brindleton Bay just because I was like, oh, it could be like an old lighthouse that got converted into just a regular suburban house. Yeah, I know it's not a lighthouse, but you could turn it into a lighthouse fairly easily if you put a different thing on top, a different topper top on top, and did it that way. So that was just an idea I had so that it didn't stick out too much when it came to um, I'm not gonna lie to you. This build is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh yeah. So yeah, you see some of these windows I was picking. I was like, I thought we had different kinds of windows. What the heck is going on? So I used those little square windows, which I mean, they don't look bad. They look okay. But I was like, huh? And finally, I don't know where it is here that I finally figured it out, but I was like, oh, I'm looking at windows for curved walls only. Whoopsies. And then a whole bunch of other windows opened up for me. There it is. So then I was like, oh yeah. So, and then another thing that I do typically when I'm doing a like copycat build of something is I will search by color. So it's not always perfect. Sometimes I'll search by style, but if you search by color, generally you can find something close to what you're looking for. Like even the outside wall sconces on the tower, the turret itself. I searched those by color, I believe, the color green, because they looked green in the picture. And then, yeah, I thought that looked okay. It wasn't perfect, but, and again, this was just a goofy, I had an hour to kill for fun build. So, and now I'm just figuring out how to put a build on YouTube. And, yeah, I should put some dogs in here as well. Or like, so one of the things I want to do is maybe go back to this build and figure out what type of floor plan would make sense because I didn't do the interior. So I didn't divide it up into rooms. I didn't add bathrooms. I didn't set a kitchen. I didn't do anything. So if you want to go into the gallery yourself, find this build and like make a whole story out of it, you're perfectly welcome to do that. I don't mind. You can even re-upload it if you want to. So just for funsies and just for practice. So yeah, and then I ended up using the exact same windows I used over on the other side. So no, messing around with stuff. It's almost finished. You'll see the building is kind of floating up in the air a little bit, and I think I moved it down eventually, or I pulled the terrain up, one of the two. And because it was a meme of just one one perspective, yeah. So then I pulled it in, and this is where I started adding the rocks. Um, so that is always a pain in the butt, putting rocks in like a gap like that, because they'll dip down, or they would pop up, or like if you size them up then they look too big and they're all the same and you only have a handful of rocks. And even worse, because I use the Riviera Retreat rocks, which are more like reddish, I had like two to choose from. So I basically used the same one rock every single time, just to fill in that gap and kind of make it look a little more, uh, I don't know if normal is the right word, because there's nothing normal about this build. I think somebody commented in the gallery that it was hideous. I said, yeah, that's the point. It's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be, yeah. Some eccentric dude was like, I want a turret. It's a suburban house. Yeah, I know. I want a castle turret on the front of my suburban house. So let's do it. Oh yeah, then I smoothed out the terrain a little bit more, and then I forget, did I put the building down? I did put like a step down even more to that area, just to try to mimic the way that the steps went down the side in the picture. Um, yeah, it's not perfect. It's just, it's nice to have some sort of inspo pick to start with, and then just as you can, like work within the Sims parameters to kind of make it similar, even if it's different. And it'll end up looking kind of okay. So I pulled the terrain up and then flattened it at the level of the house, I think here. So what I did was, yeah, it's still kind of floating. The house is still floating a little bit, but I'm pretty sure I went in and got the terrain up to the same level that the house was at. And then I set the turret, obviously, as the front door, the door on there. And then inside, I did remove some of the walls. So it's basically just open concept, open everything, ready to be turned into some sort of house that actually works of some kind, but it is an unfinished, just focusing on the exterior kind of build, with no furniture, no nothing. It was very quick. So I might come back to it and finish, but we'll see. So, yeah, see the terrain. I put a door there, and then I had a little step out onto the rest of the ground. And I feel like the back, I went around in the back and I pulled the terrain up. The siding I actually used from Eco Lifestyle. I thought I was going to use a siding from Horse Ranch because it kind of had like that horse ranchy vibe to it, but it didn't. And then I realized, because of the turret, the castle turret there, it was actually giving me outdoor lighting in that big main like great room of the house. And so I had to basically enclose it by putting, yeah, a front like entryway wall around it, and then only the turret then has that outdoor lighting. And then I kind of brought it in. So the turret is kind of like just a front facade piece, so to speak. And then I still couldn't get that to paint properly. So yeah, it was weird. uh, Rounded walls and even rounded platforms and rounded anything in this game is still pretty glitchy. And then I thought, oh, maybe I would change the door to it. No, no, different door is fine. So we've got this great big front entryway tower thing, and then just a whole open concept floor plan, which granted could easily be turned into, like, put the bedrooms to the side, have a whole downstairs den, and then the kitchen, living, dining area, or even a family room over on the other side. And then, okay, so here's where I pulled up the terrain to the level of the house, so it actually sat on something instead of just floating up in the air. And then I did a little, yeah, the little balcony thing on the side. And it did not have any sort of like column support on the edges, except just right there on the corners. And I'm nearly done at this point. So I put it up in the gallery. I called it the what Builder Facebook Builder Inspiration meme or challenge. I think I called it a shell because it's just a shell. Okay, and then I also put some hashtags in there. So have fun, enjoy, and maybe I'll build something better next time. Thanks for watching.